know that this is all about politics. The AFL-CIO, La Raza, and the Chamber of Commerce wrote this, and that law enforcement officers had absolutely no part in doing this. I mean, we've been very vocal about this. We asked the White House a long time ago to be involved in the immigration discussions and development. No response. We asked the Gang of Eight to be involved in these discussions. No response. We had border sheriffs, sheriffs from all over the country come up to D.C. last week to talk to the Gang of Eight. We held 2 different meetings on 2 separate dates to talk about, to not just have Chris Crane on the ICE side talk about these issues, but to have these border sheriffs come up here and sheriffs and law enforcement from around the country. Not one member of the Gang of Eight came to one of those meetings to hear those officers, but they've got time to sit down with the AFL-CIO and the Chamber of Commerce and La Raza to write our nation's laws on immigration enforcement. So it's very clear. It should be very clear. I mean, people shouldn't even have to read this legislation to know that it's got a lot of problems when that's the approach of Congress. And, you know, I actually talked about this in my testimony yesterday, that we don't ever come out and say, well, you should restrict anybody from being within these discussions. But when Congress has illegal aliens come to Congress and testify, and then they bring groups in that represent the interests of illegal aliens to develop our laws, and they exclude American citizen law enforcement officers that work within this broken system every day and arguably know more than anybody else about it and what it's going to take to fix it, they exclude us. To the point that, you know, I went to a press conference last week with the Gang of Eight, and I very politely waited until the question and answer period, and I put my hand in the air, and I said, Senator, will you take a question from law enforcement? And they just kind of gave me a dirty look. And they answered the question. I did this, you know, I politely waited. I didn't try to talk over them. I did it 2 or 3 times. And I was escorted out by police in our own, you know, the House of the People, a Senate office building. As a United States citizen, a federal law enforcement officer, I did nothing wrong. I talked over no one. And they had